In this lesson, we're going to continue to discuss paragraph formatting. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open, and in the Sample Files folder, scroll down to 0705, make Keep Options work for you, and just click Open. What are Keep Options? It's paragraph formatting designed to prevent a variety of typographic no-nos that have to do with column breaks. As soon as I look at this text, I can see one right away. You'll notice that at the end of the first column, there's a subhead that begins and then continues at the top of the next column. That's very definitely something you won't want to have happen. Let me go to my selection tool, and I'm just going to drag downwards. Another typographic no-no is a subhead at the bottom of a column that has no text under it. You never want to have a subhead that's supposed to be introducing text with no text under it. Not a good thing. I'm going to click and drag from my center bounding box point upwards again to my margin. Another bad column break is this paragraph down the bottom of the second column. It begins at the bottom of the second column, but it continues at the top of the third column, but there's only a single, very lonely looking line from the text that starts at the bottom of the second column. Not a good thing. Well, now that we know some of the issues, let's use Keep Options to solve these problems. I'm going to start by double-clicking in that paragraph. I'm in my selection tool, so when I double-click, I switch to my type tool. And let me select this paragraph. Well, actually, because we're talking about paragraph formatting, all I have to do is just click anywhere in that paragraph, and I could apply paragraph formatting to that entire paragraph. Why don't we go under the Options menu of the Paragraph panel and go to Keep Options. Now, what we're looking to do with this paragraph is to keep lines together from that paragraph. Let me check Keep Lines Together. And by default, it's automatically selecting at Start End of Paragraph. What that means is I'm going to have at least 2 lines at the start of a paragraph at the bottom of a column. And at the end of a paragraph, I'm going to have at least 2 lines to start at the top of another column. And you can see, because I have Preview checked, let me uncheck that, it is working. It's making it so that there's at least 2 lines at the top of that third column. So that worked. Let me click OK. Now, let's solve our subhead issue. I'm going to click anywhere in that subhead that ends the first column. We're going to go under the Options menu to Keep Options. Now, we do want to keep the lines from that subhead together. So I'm going to click next to Keep Lines Together, but not just 2 lines. What if I have a 3-line subhead? It would still break. So let me check all lines in a paragraph. Now, I also want to make sure that no matter how this text breaks, there's always going to be at least a couple of lines from the paragraph below my subhead. So let me click the up arrow next to Keep with Next 2 lines. So I have at least 2 lines under the subhead. So the subhead is actually introducing the text under it. Let me click OK. And let's see how all of this is working. I'm going to start by going to my selection tool. And I'm going to click and drag downwards. And when it snaps to the bottom of the page, I'm going to let go. Well, you can see, even though there's plenty of room there for that subhead, it's not going down there. Let me scroll down even a little bit further. And I'm going to drag even further down. And you can see not until there are 2 lines that are staying with that subhead is it going to bring the subhead down. Let me show you. I'm going to click and drag upwards. As soon as there's not enough room for at least 2 lines in the text below the subhead, it's going to jump right up to the top of the second column. So that worked. Let me drag upwards from my center bounding box point. You can see that there are 2 lines at the top of my third column, so that's working. But let me make enough room for a single line, and you can see it's not coming down. It's not going to come down until there's enough room for those last 2 lines, because it is making sure that there are at least 2 lines at the top of the third column. If there's not room for 2, if I make the frame just tall enough that there should be 1 line at the top of the next column, it's automatically going to bring 2. So it is working. But what about at the bottom of the column? This paragraph, which we did format with keep options, watch what happens as I start to drag upwards. There's 2 lines there. It's never going to allow me to have the first line of that formatted paragraph at the bottom of a column. It's going to have at least 2. If there's not room for 2 down the bottom, they're going to remain up at the top of the third column. So the best thing about keep options is it is paragraph formatting. And as paragraph formatting, it can be saved as a paragraph style, which we'll be talking a lot more about in the next section.